Hey, what's going on, everyone? For today's video, I thought we'd talk about the 2019 GT500. Now, this past weekend, there were several new spy images posted on the Mustang 6G forum, and they show what appears to be new parts for the next GT500. But the question is, when will this car be revealed, and how much power can we expect to see from it? Well, in this video, I'm going to do a complete rundown of the latest spy images and rumors about the car, and I'm also going to give you my thoughts on it. So with that being said, let's get started. The Shelby GT500. It's one of the most iconic muscle cars of all time.
The Shelby Mustang GT.
Introduced back in the late 60s, the GT500 was an incredible performer.
Only Mustang makes it happen.
But by the early 70s, production of the GT500 came to a halt. And it wasn't until 2007 that the GT500 made its return. The last GT500 was built in 2014, and it made an impressive 662 horsepower. But ever since it left, people have been wondering when it will return. Well, throughout this year, there have been numerous sightings of GT500s out in public, but the only problem was, we didn't know what was going to power the car. Until now. This past weekend, an image was uploaded to the Mustang 6G forum, and it shows what appears to be a supercharger for the next GT500. Now, there's a lot to take away from this image. The first thing is the 5.2-liter logo at the top of the supercharger. This number represents the engine's displacement, which is a really big deal because, for the longest time, we didn't know what Ford was going to do. Throughout this year, there have been rumors about twin-turbo V8s and even 7-liter naturally aspirated V8s. But it looks like Ford has decided to go the supercharger route, which I've got to say, it does make total sense. I mean, the 5.2 is a great engine, and if Ford is going to improve upon it by adding a supercharger, I don't think we're going to be disappointed. The next takeaway is the Cobra in the casting. As if the 5.2-liter logo wasn't a giveaway in itself, the Shelby Cobra logo is a definite sign this is for the GT500. And look at that empty space below it. I'm guessing this is where the builder's plate would go. Now, as some of you may know, the GT350's 5.2-liter V8 was given the code name Voodoo. Well, according to the forum, the code name for the GT500's engine is Predator. Now, this isn't the only image that surfaced. In this next image, we see what is believed to be a Ford confidential document. This document shows the engine oil requirements for the 2020 model year. But if we look at the bottom, we can see 5.2-liter supercharged Mustang GT500. If this is legit, the next GT500 will most definitely have a 5.2-liter supercharged V8. Now, if you would have asked me a year ago what engine I thought was going to be the next GT500, I would have said the 5.2-liter Voodoo V8 with a supercharger, and that's what most other people were guessing. But after hearing all these rumors throughout the year about turbocharged V8s and even naturally aspirated 7 liters, it was starting to look uncertain what Ford was going to do with this car. But now that we have these leaked images of the oil charts, it looks like Ford is going to go with the supercharger. Now, shortly after the last two images were leaked, another image was leaked, and this time it shows the GT500's brakes. Now, the first thing that you'll notice is that compared to this person's hand, these brakes appear to be very big. For comparison, here's the GT350's brakes beside it. As you can see, the new brakes are definitely larger, and it looks like Ford is going with slotted rotors instead of drilled rotors. Now, some of you might be wondering, how do we know these brakes are for a Mustang? Well, believe it or not, there's actually a code on this brake that proves it's for a Mustang. If we take a closer look, we can see that it says KR3V. Now, based off of the stamping codes from the GT350, we can decipher what this means. K represents the model year, which in this case is 2019. R3 represents the model, which is a Mustang. And V represents the trim, which in this case means specialty vehicle engineering. It's incredible that all these images surfaced around the same time. They all tie together and they prove that the GT500 is right around the corner. Now, many people speculate the GT500 is going to be announced next month. Not only would it be the best place to reveal it, but there's also an Easter egg in this dashboard. This is a promo shot from earlier this year for the 2018 Mustang. If you look closely at the center of the screen, we can see the miles are 1, 12, 18. This is the day right before the Detroit Auto Show. And if you think this is just a coincidence, think again. There's a couple other Easter eggs in this image. The first one being 1964.5, representing the first year for the Mustang. The second one is 289, representing the V8 engine in the first Mustang. So it's obvious these numbers were put in here on purpose. But there's one last Easter egg that really has people wondering. Does the 755 represent the power rating for the 2019 GT500? The Mustang GT ended up being 460 horsepower, which was 5 horsepower more than the digital dash. So based off that logic, the GT500 might have 760 horsepower. So now we have a better idea of what's going to power the GT500, but we still don't know what it's going to look like. One of the big mysteries about the GT500 is what exactly will it look like? Let's take a look at this latest spy video of the car. Now, as you can see, the car has a lot of padding around it, so it's really hard to tell what it's gonna look like. Now, if you look at the hood, you can see that it has a bulge to it, which does support the rumor it will have a supercharger. Even the wheels are covered up with those plastic covers.
Daddy, I think it's a broken Mustang.
He called it a broken Mustang. Why do they even have these cars driving around in public? Wouldn't it make more sense for them to drive in their test facility? I just can't figure that out. Maybe they're trying to cause hype by driving it out in town. But if one thing is for certain, the fact that this car is so heavily camouflaged proves that it has to be something special, and Ford doesn't want us to see it until its grand reveal. The GT500 has been in the works for so long, and if Ford doesn't reveal it next month, I think people are going to start going nuts. I mean, they can't keep letting Chevy and Dodge steal the spotlight. I think the fact that Ford placed so many Easter eggs in that dashboard is a good sign that we will see the car revealed next month. Now, if this car does get revealed next month, I plan on putting a deposit down at one of my Ford dealers. I haven't decided which dealer I'm going to go with, but it's ultimately going to depend on who gives me the best price. I really don't like the idea of having to pay over MSRP for the car. That just doesn't seem fair, but I guess that's the price you have to pay if you want to be one of the first people to get it. But now that I say that, when Dodge released the Demon, they made a point to dealers that if you sell this car for over MSRP, your car is not going to be prioritized and it will be put towards the end of production. Why can't Ford do the same thing? How hard could it be? These cars are not meant to sit in a garage and collect dust. They're supposed to be driven on the track. And, you know, it just seems a shame to me that Ford allows this to happen. Dodge certainly did their best to keep it from happening, and I don't see why Ford can't do the same thing. Now, there's always the possibility that these images are not really authentic, and we could be in for something different. Maybe we will still see a turbo, or maybe we'll even see a 7-liter naturally aspirated. That would be something. But I guess we're just gonna have to wait until next month to officially find out. So what do you guys think about the GT500? Are you glad they went with the Supercharger, or do you wish they would have went with the 7-liter? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you next time.